Mystery Brothers. Mystery Brothers.
Mystery Brothers.
Mystery Bros.
Mystery Brothers.
Mystery
Mystery Brothers.
Bros. Mystery Bros.
Okay, so we're doing a little sports conspiracy episode. All right, this is gonna be a good one. I'm a big fan of sports. We picked a good few that we think have some decent evidence and are a little more sensational as well, because everyone right now is watching The Last Dance, of course. Amazing documentary. We're gonna give a little short review on it, but we also have a Micheal Jordan conspiracy theory that we're going to talk about. That they go over it very briefly in the documentary, and then they're just like, but it's so silly. Anyway, moving on. Like, kind of brush right past it, which I expect. I mean, Micheal Jordan had final cut on this documentary.
Yes.
He's not gonna I don't expect him to be like revealing any crazy secrets here. The documentary is amazing.
Apparently,
without
like
that.
it took, like this is why it took so long for them to release it, because Micheal Jordan had a huge hesitant.
He has a huge ego, and yeah,
He didn't want this out. Like they had to negotiate, and he had the final right. So a lot of people were arguing that this isn't fair journalism because like he had the final say.
Yeah, but you know what? It's about Micheal Jordan's legacy, and that's okay. You know what I mean? Like that's exactly, they're showing everything to do with his legacy and his basketball legacy. You know what I mean? And I think it's fine. I'm not mad about it. But we'll talk about a little conspiracy that may or may not have happened with MJ that I really think it did happen. But we'll go into that, and then we're also going to get into something else that was very big at one point. Deflate Gate. The old Deflate Gate, the old Bill Belichick, whoopsie daisy. Oopsie,
Patriot fans will never want to hear this. They want to cover their eyes. They're like, no, can't be.
Yeah, if you're a
Patriots are God.
fan, you're going to be upset.
Tom Brady's God there, but I don't know anymore though. I don't know how much he's hated
He's
now.
over on the Bucks now, dude. It's so weird. Not like thinking Tom Brady's going to be. It's just crazy. But anyway, so we're going to talk all about that stuff. But first, I kind of just want to get into just a quick mini like review of The Last Dance.
Okay.
Because I think it's awesome, dude. It's so much. It's so good. It's such in depth, journalism and such in depth like behind the scenes stuff going on that just no one's ever seen before about Micheal, and it's just really cool to see. I think,
Right.
You totally get a sense of his like personality and his mindset, like all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? As well as getting to see, like the whole process of his career, basically. The one thing that annoys me a little bit is how they keep jumping back and forth.
Yeah, you kind of get lost in timelines.
Yeah,
like,
the timelines get
yeah.
a little bit confusing and stupid. It's like, why don't you just start from the beginning of his career and just go through his career? But they have to just keep bringing it back to like the 97, 98 season or whatever. And it's like,
doing a little Westworld there.
Yeah, exactly. They're just bouncing back and forth, and it gets a little just like annoying. It's like, why not just start from the beginning, go to the end, and just focus a little more on that last season? Like spend 3 whole episodes on just that last like thing or something like that.
Yeah, because it's hard because you have to keep track of both, and sometimes like it doesn't even go chronologically in like career. Like what I'm
they
saying?
just keep going back and forth, and that's what gets annoying. But otherwise, I think it's a really good documentary. Definitely check it out. As of right now, it's May 14th, so we're only through episode 8.
Right.
I think, when you guys are hearing this, the whole thing will be out. So we haven't seen the last 2 episodes.
No.
Excited to know what happens. No, I'm kidding. Obviously, he wins the second three-peat. But it's just cool to see that, I was like just on the edge of being able to see Micheal Jordan play live, you know what I mean? Or watch that era of basketball, because I I got to see when he came back from his second retirement and he played on the Wizards for like 2 or 3 years.
Was he still dominant?
I definitely saw that. He was still very good. He wasn't dominant, but he was very good.
Were the Wizards any good then?
Not really. I don't think. I don't think they ever like went anywhere. They may have made a few playoffs, but I don't know. But it just wasn't that memorable. You know what I mean? I didn't get to see the beginning years. When he was winning championships with the Bulls. I was too young at the time. Like, I think I started watching basketball in 98, 99-ish. So I did see that second career push, but that wasn't his spectacular moments.
No.
So it was really cool. It's cool to go back and see all this, documentation, all this recordings of him just being insane and getting to know his mentality and stuff like that. It was fun.
Right. I mean, everybody's heard the name Micheal Jordan.
Of course. He's one of the most famous athletes of all time.
Right.
Probably one of the most globally recognized athletes of all time.
I think so. I think he's up there.
What'd you think of the documentary? You're someone who really didn't know anything about Jordan. Before this. I knew all this stuff. I've known all this stuff for a long time because, I'm just a big fan of basketball. I've known about Micheal Jordan. I obviously we're from Detroit, so I've seen all the shit about the bad boys and their, struggles with Jordan and Jordan's struggles with them, I guess. So I was very familiar with most of this stuff. I know how it goes, but I just didn't get – I just think it's really cool to see all this footage that – from behind-the-scenes footage and stuff that no one's really seen. I think that's really cool. But for you, as someone who's didn't even know the basketball story and all that, what do you think?
I like it so far. I think it's good in-depth story of how his career unfolded. Some raw footage, which I liked. I like seeing his struggles. In college, he actually came to college and he wasn't the best player right away. He had to go through and earn his way, and he played college 3 years. It wasn't LeBron James didn't even go.
Not many people skipped college back then.
Right, and he won some NCAA champion. I believe he won the NCAA championship, and
yep.
He was very successful on the college level as well. I'm a person who obviously loves basketball. I played basketball probably in high school. But that wasn't my, I guess, top sport. So, I like college way more than the NBA, so I guess I don't focus that much. And since in the past, I honestly don't focus any, before my time, I don't really research the players.
Yeah, you weren't even born.
I was born in 95.
4 or 5 of his championships.
I was 2 years old when he in the Last Dance.
Yeah. So you definitely... A lot of the stuff you had no chance of seeing live. You weren't live yet.
No. But I honestly think it's crazy how the coach Phil Jackson, that he was told that, oh, yeah, we're just going to fire you after this season. You just won us back-to-back championships, but this is your last season. You're done. That would never happen today.
Yeah.
How angry would you be at
Jerry Krause just, really, I don't know, he just thought he was a genius and wanted to, be the guy to get all the credit for putting this team together and all that stuff, which he did. But then he was just I'm good. I can do it all over again. He was trying to get Kukoc to be the next Micheal Jordan. And he was just you know what? I can do it all over again. I don't need Phil. I don't need Michael. I don't need any of them. So at the end of the season, Phil, you're done. And I think deep down, he knew that meant Michael was going to leave too.
Right. So I don't know why you would do that.
Yeah, it's silly.
I feel if you do that today, you get some riots. Because I know, I'm sure for your teams, my teams, if we just won 2 championships in a row, and then you say to my coach, oh, I don't care if you win this third one, you're done after the season. What's general management thinking?
That so would be if the owner of the San Antonio Spurs was just sorry, Greg Popovich, you basically created a dynasty with the Spurs. You won I think they won 4 or 5 championships within a 10-year period. You're known as one of the best coaches ever. But we're going to let you go after this year because we're moving on. We've got, that would just never, ever happen.
Right.
Pop might retire soon, but I don't think he would ever have to like be fired from his job. I think he's got that job until he doesn't want it anymore. And that's kind of what it should have been there. Phil Jackson should basically like, that's your job until you want to leave or retire.
Right. I do think Dennis Rodman's kind of odd. And
oh yeah, Rodman's a weirdo, but you know he's an interesting guy.
Like they
man.
let him out to go like gamble because like they knew they had like a connection. Like okay, you can do like let Rodman be Rodman and he'll like act on the he'll act like what we want on the court.
It's so crazy how different Rodman was after he left the Pistons. You know what I mean? Like he won 2 championships with us, and he was just super quiet, super like really like tame, quiet, normal dude. Just worked his ass off, played basketball really hard, and then once he left the Pistons, he just became wild, man. He became wild. There's a documentary, or there's like a 30 for 30 all about Rodman.
Oh, really?
It's really good.
I might have to go watch that.
Yeah, it's like an hour and a half. It's not like a 10-part series or anything like that. It's like only like an hour and a half, but it's all about Rodman. It's really cool.
Like, what happened? He was like a normal in Detroit. Like,
yeah, he just decided he wanted to be who he really is. You know, he wanted to be who he wanted to be inside, and he's just a crazy person inside. I think that prior to coming to the Pistons, he didn't realize his potential as a person. He was homeless for a couple of years. He didn't graduate from high school or anything. I think that he just like happened to grow 10 inches between like 19 and 20. And like someone was just like, oh, you need to be playing basketball. So they grabbed him and he started playing basketball, and he found out he was really fucking good at it because he worked his ass off. And he was good at doing the stuff that nobody else wanted to do, like rebounding, playing defense, like that kind of stuff. So he just did it and got really good. And he didn't realize yet how like talented and how, you know, he didn't feel like he could speak out and be as weird as he really was because you're just, you know.
Yeah, you're still rookie then.
Yeah, you're still young. You're still learning that you are a special person. You have talents. Dennis Rodman's definitely a special person with a lot of talent, but he just decided to just go all crazy, do his own thing, man.
Right.
I feel like this week I only had the edited version. Usually on ESPN Plus, you can go and you can see the unedited version, and I always watch those. But I didn't see that this week for the 2 episodes. For episodes 7 and 8, I didn't see the unedited version. And they were like bleeping it out. Jordan was cussing, and they were bleeping it out. And I was like, "Damn, I want to hear Jordan swear."
maybe that's why there's no unedited.
Well, they've done
version.
it for all the other episodes. Michael Jordan's "fuck this, fuck that." It's great. It's hilarious. He's so intense, man.
I don't think I would be good. Unless I was really, really good, I feel like I would want to be good teammates with him.
It's tough, dude. You got to work your ass off, and you got to give it your best because he just expects nothing less than your best, you know. And if you don't, he lets you know. You know, it's pretty. That's the thing. That's why a lot of people think he's an asshole because he holds himself, not only himself, but everybody else around him to the highest standards possible. You know, so. Which you got to respect, you know, like that's why he was so successful. That's why he was a 6-time NBA champion. You know what I mean?
Right. It was sad to see Kobe and Michael play together.
Yeah, they had Kobe in the one episode.
Yeah,
and it showed them in the All-Star game when they were playing against each other. That was funny. And Jordan was like, "Bitch, I'm gonna fucking like I'm gonna make this kid look stupid in the All-Star game."
That was his first year. Was that Kobe's first rookie? That was
it was his rookie season.
Really? Kobe made the All-Star game his rookie year?
Oh, yeah. Kobe came straight from high school.
True.
Let's go ahead and talk about the stuff that they weren't talking about in the Jordan documentary. So, as many know, obviously they did touch on it. They basically like said it once, and then they were just like, but it's so stupid. Anyway, moving on. But there's a lot of, you know, evidence that we know for a fact Michael Jordan had some gambling problems. You know, obviously in the documentary they're not going to highlight this. He's he has, like we said, he has final cut on this documentary. So if you believe anything about how little the gambling thing was an issue and all that stuff, that's just what he needs you to believe. That's what he's going to allow you to see. But Michael Jordan had some big issues gambling. He owed some very connected people lots of money. And yeah, he was making good money. He was making plenty of money, but he still owed a lot of people a lot of money. And it was getting to a point where, obviously, as we know, the NBA did some investigations into it. And then, as we all saw, Jordan just up and retires in 1993. They did a good job in the documentary of pushing that, oh, he was just tired. He didn't want to do it anymore. He blah, 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 this and that. But I think that if you see the type of person Jordan is, that's hard to believe for me. That's hard for me to believe that Michael Jordan just, while he's on top, just decides to step away.
Did you hear
one of the most competitive people of all time? You know what I mean?
Did you hear some of the former baseball players said that he could have maybe went pro if he kept at it?
Yeah, that's just his work ethic. So he just, I just don't get it. I just don't get it that he would just up and retire like that while he's on top.
You don't think he maybe got a little bored? Like, dude, I just won 3 champs, let me do something else for a little bit.
That's what they want you to think.
You all suck.
That's what they want you to think, but I don't know. I don't think that the most competitive person of all time can just walk away from a sport, especially when they're winning, especially when they're still winning, Do
you think he just had maybe a dad reflection? Maybe it was like, I really love my dad. He loved baseball. I want to do it for him and try to make the MLB.
See, that's another thing is the thing about his father. They definitely skip over that real quick in the documentary. A lot of people believe that his father's murder wasn't just a robbery. It wasn't a random robbery. A lot of people think that Michael Jordan was in with some pretty connected dudes. He was gambling with some really high stakes sharks, pretty much. You know what I mean? And he definitely owed people a lot of money. It's come out that he's definitely owed people lots of money before. And, maybe some people got upset that they weren't getting their money. And so some people think that his murder had a lot to do with Michael Jordan's gambling problems. They say it was a robbery, like wrong place, wrong time thing, but it was a little suspicious. I don't think that they took his wallet or something. All they took was his cell phone. And then they didn't steal the car. They didn't steal, it was just a strange, interesting incident, And let's go over here. I mean, we know that they talked about it in the documentary. They talked about it in the documentary that he was, he had a bit of a problem. In between the finals in 1992, 1993, he was flying back and forth to Atlantic City at 3 a.m. to go to casinos and stuff and gamble, and then get back to the practice by 6 a.m. But he wouldn't even be home until 3 or 4 a.m. most nights. He just, he liked to have a good time. He liked to gamble. He liked to.
And it's important to know it didn't even affect his basketball playing. He still came back at 4 a.m. in the morning, dropped 40 the next night.
Yeah, literally. And then, in 1991, there was a guy named James Slim Buhler who ended up getting arrested. They found a check written to Buhler from Michael Jordan for $57,000. Jordan said originally that it was for a loan or something that he had to pay back to Buhler, but then eventually in court he was questioned and he was under oath, and he had to admit that it was for gambling debt.
Right.
1992, Eddie Dow was killed. He was like a cocaine dealer. He was killed, shot, and they also found in his briefcase 3 checks written out to him from Michael Jordan for totaling $108,000. It's a lot of money, you know. He was making good money. He was making more than that, but it's like, you know, pay structures. Like, do you really have like, you know, $20 million in your bank account just because you signed a contract for $20 million? Not really. Like, you get, you know what I mean? You make money per game, all that kind of stuff. So it's a lot of money. Definitely a lot of money. He for sure was worth more than that, but it was a lot of money. And, you know, back, especially in the 90s, you know, $100,000, you could definitely see something going on for that. You know what I mean? There'd be some retaliation if you owed people that kind of money and you weren't paying. All that shit was going down. He was getting in trouble with that. The league started investigating him, trying to figure out, like, is this a real problem? Like, he's getting brought up in trials with like cocaine dealers and loan sharks that, you know, that he's owing them hundreds of thousands of dollars and shit. Like, this might be a problem. This would look bad if it turns out he's been gambling on NBA or anything like that.
Right.
So they launched an investigation into him in 1993. Also, his dad gets murdered right after that, pretty much right after the investigation. And then in 1993, again, like, pretty much this is what caused them to start the investigation is Richard Eskinos, who is a known loan shark and like a friend of Jordan's, or not even a friend, but like, you know, Jordan knew him through gambling and stuff. He basically came out and wrote a book, and he admitted that Jordan at one point owed him $1.2 million in gambling debt, and that Michael Jordan had to apparently like negotiate and figure out, and they negotiated it down to like $300,000. But at one point he owed him $1.2 million in gambling debt. So, I mean, dude definitely had a problem, man. Dude definitely had an issue. And then all of a sudden, 1993, one day before training camp, okay, he pulled an Andrew Luck and just says, I'm going to retire at 30 years old. After winning 3 championships in a row, and nobody on your team, like, they still had Scotty, they still had Rodman, they still had Armstrong.
It is a little fishy, for sure.
Yeah. Like, it's strange. Like, why would you just retire? Like we said, you got to know Jordan in this documentary. Does he seem like a quitter? Does he seem like someone who, you know, is just like, I've won so many championships, I'm bored. I'm only 30 years old. I guess I'm just going to quit. It just doesn't seem like it. It just doesn't seem like it to me. Here's what happened, Arel. Here's what happened. Michael Jordan was asked to step away, get your fucking shit together, and then you can come back. Okay? Because right now, you're going down some bad roads. You're getting caught up with some bad dudes. You're owing a lot of people money that you shouldn't be owing money. Your dad just got murdered. And it's starting to get out a little bit, bud. Like, there's some news articles. There's, you know, dudes that are getting shot and finding checks from you, written out from you to them. You got to step away for a sec. Figure your shit out. Just get your shit together. Stop gambling. Pay off all your debts. Get everything taken care of, and then you can come back. And no one will know. What we'll do is we'll say that you want to retire. You know, you're bored. You just won 3 championships. Say that you're bored. You want to retire, and then figure your shit out and come back. And that's, you know, there's no evidence. Obviously, you can't really say it happened. And of course, in the documentary, they're going to just shoot that down real quick because they're never going to say that they had some crazy NBA conspiracy like that where they like duped the public, this and that. You know, people wouldn't trust the NBA anymore, so they can't say that.
Definitely. I mean, I could definitely see that point. For me, when I look at...
and then immediately after he retires, you know, a week or so later, the NBA comes out and says, "Oh yeah, with that whole investigation we were doing, couldn't find anything, nothing there. Jordan's cleared."
True.
Interesting, you
It
know?
is.
And then literally 17 months later, he comes back.
Right.
It's like, okay, you weren't bored for that long then, were you? You got bored of being bored, huh? You went and played baseball and like wasn't that good. I mean, he was decent, right? Double A.
Yeah, he had to work on it. I mean, the thing I could also see is maybe like his competitive nature is like, all right, I made in basketball. How cool would it be if I could make it in two sports?
Yeah, he might have wanted to do that, but I don't know. I just think it's very convenient how it all worked out.
Especially the letter that he kind of wrote of David Stern lets me.
Well, that was in his speech, in his retirement
Yeah.
speech. He said, yeah, that's one thing people like to point to. In his retirement speech, he goes, maybe one day I'll come back and play basketball if David Stern will let me.
Ooh.
What does that mean? Why would he not let you? You're Micheal Jordan. As soon as you left the NBA probably lost a ton of money. And that's why a lot of people think that this can't be real, because why would they do that? Why wouldn't they just hide, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, I think that they could see what was going on. They were like, dude's getting caught up in a lot of shit. Like, this could come tumbling down. And I think that they care more about the NBA in the long run as a whole than they do, in the short term. And they were probably just like, I bet if we just tell them, take a quick break here and figure this out. You can't play basketball right now. I bet you he'd figure it out, which he did. Never really got in trouble for gambling, anything after that. Never wasn't even known for really being a crazy gambler that much after that. Maybe he just changed his ways.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's the little Micheal Jordan conspiracy there.
I mean, it's definitely very intriguing. It is a very surprise retirement. I can't really think of any. What would like another
Listen to this,
surprise?
dude. Could you imagine if he didn't retire? He could have won 7 championships in a row. I get that, like, he came back and played in the playoffs that one season for, I think it was like 94 or something. He came back, he played in the playoffs. But if he would have stayed there, and that would have been like their team coach, they would have had their whole team there for the entire season. They would have gelled together. They wouldn't have had to like learn what it's like to play without Michael and then bring him back, like all that kind of stuff. They could have won the championship again that year. And then they would have won 7 in a row, dude. That's insane. Obviously, that's never been done before. He would be up there as the no questions greatest basketball player of all time. Not just the best, but the greatest as well. Because right now there's dudes like Bill Russell, I think, has like 7 championships as well. Wilt Chamberlain obviously was just like has records for like
But you can't always base it off that. Like someone could be lucky. Like someone could be like there's players on the Last Dance who were bench players all 3 years. They have 3 championships.
Okay, but that doesn't apply to what I'm saying, because Bill Russell was the star player and so was Wilt Chamberlain, and they won like plenty of championships. So they're still up there as far as greatest NBA players of all time. Although, I mean, I think most people would say Jordan, but that's because they weren't around back in the, 60s, 70s. I think Wilt Chamberlain was even before that, like in the 40s and the 50s, when he was like 7 foot and everybody else was like 6'3". So that's why he was so dominant. But it's just, if there would be no question about it if you would have just stayed and won that championship, and then you won 7 in a row, that would be mesmerizing. Like it's still insane that he won 3 and then lost or didn't win the next one, then won 3 more. That's still 6 total, and you only out of 7 years you won 6 championships. That's pretty fucking amazing. But it would just be no question at all if he just won 7 in a row, man. It would be insane. Wish he would have just done that. Fucking playing baseball. Who gives a fuck?
No words.
Space Jam, though, he had to, it worked into the
in the plot
plot a little bit. So I don't know. It's just it's an interesting thought. It's just really interesting to think about that it may not have been just I'm bored, I want to retire, because that's so out of character for him. But again, no one will ever know. Obviously, he's never going to say it, because if he was gonna, he would have said it in this documentary.
The commissioner's dead, so there's no chance he's going to say it.
Yeah, Stern is dead now. In the documentary, he still was saying, obviously, he was saying that was dumb and didn't make any sense, but, no one will ever know. I just figured go a little more in depth into that, since everyone's watching The Last Dance, everyone's excited about it. Still an amazing documentary, even if they are lying about this and trying to cover it up, that I'm still cool with it. The documentary is dope. You still learn everything there is to learn about his legacy and the way he thought, the way he acted. It was cool to see that. He's kind of an asshole deep down, so but he's a fucking winner, that's for sure. And yeah. So we got one more little sports conspiracy that we're gonna go over here. What you got?
So we're gonna go
Deflategate, right?
Yes, we're gonna go from the greatest basketball player ever to maybe arguably the greatest football player ever. So this obviously came out, I believe, in January 18th. The game between the Patriots and the Indianapolis Colts is when this started.
It was a playoff game, right?
Right.
Was it the AFC Championship? Or was it just an AFC playoff?
It was the
wild
AFC,
card?
Not wild card. When are the Patriots in the wild card?
That's what I was thinking. So it was the second round? Divisional round?
Divisional round, correct. Divisional round game. Mm-hmm. And the Patriots were winning the game. Like, this obviously had no really outcome of the game. The Patriots won 45-7. What sparked the controversy in the second quarter, DeQuell Jackson intercepted the ball from Tom Brady. He brought the ball over to the equipment staff, saying that the ball was a little deflated. The equipment staff checked the ball and said so too. At halftime, they notified the refs, and then refs checked the Patriots' balls, 12-11, and they found that 11 were deflated.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It was a cold day, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a cold day. A lot of people like to point to that. I'll get to that.
Yeah. It's crazy how, like, in depth they actually investigated this shit, dude.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy. Like, I think they put more effort into this than a lot of murders that have happened as far as, like, doing investigative stuff. But anyway, continue.
Right. Where do you kind of stand on this?
I don't know enough about it. I think it's silly. I don't think, even if they were deflated, it doesn't fucking matter. They figured it out in the second half for the second half, and the Patriots scored way more points in the second half than the first.
It's just the implication that he cheated.
No shit. They're all cheating, dude. You think they're all cheating, man. They're all doing any little thing that they can to get some sort of advantage. They're all cheating.
Okay, well, the minimum is supposed to be 12.5 PSI.
Okay.
And the lowest end of the balls were 10.5.
All right.
So that's a noticeable 2-point
The average is what, 13 something?
Yeah.
It's like 13.3,
yeah, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah. But, like, it's important to note, so they scored 28 points in the second half, and the balls were not deflated. So
yeah, so did it really even matter?
It didn't matter towards the game, just his thing. So they went back and investigated this, because it doesn't make any sense how environmentally the balls could just deflate like that. So they actually did a scientific study. They replayed the game. They did the exact environments that the game was in. They put the ball placement down where the ball was. They wiped it down like every time the ref wiped the ball down. Like, they did every detail. Every play was exactly redone.
Wow.
That's where our tax dollars go.
Wow. They basically, like, recreated the fucking game just to, like, see if the conditions would make it deflate like that. Oh, my God.
And they found out, no way, the weather.
There's no way they naturally deflated.
Yes. So John Madden came out during the investigation and said that it's possible because, like, the deflated ball helps you throw better in, like, a rainy game. He implicated it's possible that the equipment staff and Brady had a thing like, hey, could you, maybe it's like, you know, like a little rainy day today, like, could you deflate the balls a little better so, you know, like, I can really fling it tonight.
Yeah, and didn't they find some like communication between him?
Yes,
and, like,
they found like
people?
some communication behind it, and they like.
And they didn't like they were asking Brady like, we need to see your phone, and he was just like, I can't, or something, or he like got a new one or something like that, or didn't he do some shady shit?
So they actually first Belichick tried to disprove it, saying it could be that there's some holes in like little small holes that like kind of deflated the balls a little bit, and even Bill Nye came out and said like what Bill Belichick said doesn't make any scientific sense. Don't listen to him.
Yeah, if there was a hole, it would be way more deflated than that, right?
Right. And Tom Brady, of course, like denied all phone records, emails, everything, and it was noted by the manager and Tom Brady that they had like communications, but after the scandal, no communication
between Brady and the equipment managers.
Between Brady and the equipment manager.
But he wouldn't let them see what that was. He didn't have to.
He didn't have to.
Really?
I guess it's according to the Wells report. They didn't have the NFL hired like a private investigator.
Private investigators, right? So okay. He did end up serving 4-game suspension.
I'm about to get into that. They found text messages between the equipment managers and saying, "Hey, these balls are a little loosened." Like a text message saying that to the equipment staff. And
how do they know? I thought he wouldn't give them the phone.
No, this is between the equipment managers.
Oh, between equipment people?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that evidence that we have. And so they brought the evidence forward to the NFL. The NFL fined the team $1 million and Tom Brady a 4-game suspension without pay.
Yeah, I remember all that. That was such a big deal. It was all they talked about the entire offseason. Like, oh my God, Brady's getting suspended, blah, blah, blah. But then he didn't end up serving it till like halfway through the season, right?
Yeah.
Didn't he kept like appealing it?
Well, I'm going to get into that.
Yeah, go ahead.
So the Patriots kind of retaliated with that and saying that like there's no evidence, like give me evidence that Tom Brady was involved. There's no evidence there, and the text message between the two equipment managers was a weight loss joke. It has nothing to do with with football.
That's what they said.
Yeah. However, Robert Kraft did accept the penalty because the NFL wasn't going to budge, and I mean like $1 million to New England Patriots. That's like
nothing.
Brady first appealed the suspension. The judge sided with Brady and said that, okay, it's a little harsh, 2 games. But then the NFL, what'd you call when you like retaliate?
Appeal.
Yes, appeal. So they appealed and they actually won again, so it was back to 4.
What kind of court were they dealing with?
Not the Supreme Court. What's like just the district court, like in the state.
They really had to deal. They really went to like a legitimate court and everything.
And then it's actually funny because in July, Brady announced that he was not going to take it to the Supreme Court, which is like a little weird. Could you imagine like someone going like, "Yo, what are you here for?" Like, like I'm trying like to not be witness to like 30 murders, and then like Tom Brady walks down like, I deflated some balls. That's why I'm here at the Supreme Court.
Yeah, that would just be silly if it was in the Supreme Court. I'm glad that didn't happen. I think Tom Brady knew that too. I think he was like, "This is going a little too far." Like,
this does not need to go. Fucking suspension. This does not need to go to the Supreme Court. This is not war like national.
Yeah, this is like that would be like a crime to like take up Supreme Court time with this fucking case
on a game that like didn't matter.
Yeah, it didn't even really matter in the end. They whooped the fucking Colts' ass, and they whooped their ass even harder after the balls were changed.
But does that implement how your perspective on Brady though, that he cheated?
No, everyone knows everyone is cheating. All right. Bill Belichick's almost been caught like 3 different separate times for different things of cheating. Lots of people are cheating. Any little silly advantages like that. And I don't even think that he even really... I bet you in his head that doesn't even count as like cheating for him. Really, he's like, see if you can maybe just give me some balls that are a little less deflated. I don't think that's even really that much of a big deal to him in his head.
Right.
So no, I don't give a shit, and I know that they're all cheating. They're trying at least.
It's just hard to see the equipment staff act alone on this because, like, why would they want to change like the balls? For
Yeah,
their
I doubt that they did. I'm sure Brady said something, maybe.
Right.
But
that's the thing, though. That proves Brady, you're a cheater. You tried to cheat.
No, that's just life, man. They're professional athletes. Like they're gonna try and take every little advantage that they can.
It's not as bad as steroids, but
no, it's definitely not.
it's just something to throw out there that a lot of Patriots fans like to deny this ever happened, but it did.
Yeah,
just face the fact it happened. I mean, that's not the first time Patriots were caught with something. I mean, they had like a Jets, like they were like stealing signs of Jets, like videotape.
Yeah, they were supposedly videotaping Jets practices, and that I think that is way more of a big deal than Deflategate. But they just like, I think it got buried. I think the league buried that. They knew what was happening, and they were like, "Fuck! If it comes out that like."
We're gonna definitely have to do it.
Like, there's gonna be a big issue. Like, we're just gonna like say the videotapes got destroyed. I'm pretty sure that's what they did. They're just like, oh, videotapes are gone, guys. Shit. I guess we'll never know. I'm pretty sure they pulled one of those. But yeah, that's a big deal. Recording other teams' practices.
Yeah.
Like hidden camera type shit. Like that's legit cheating.
Well, it just tells you that Brady and Belichick aren't
that's
gods.
Legitimate cheating.
Aren't gods.
No.
Well, I think Boston fans are starting to realize that Brady's not a god since he switched teams.
I think a lot of them are still like just happy with what happened though. They're like, we won 6 fucking Super Bowls. We went to 9 in like the last 15 years. And it's because of Tom Brady.
Yeah, so I've been to 2 since I've been alive, and thank God we won. But.
Yeah. Yeah, as a Giants fan.
You'll get there, Evan.
Me here as a Lions fan. I haven't had many happy NFL moments as a Lions fan. But
can you count the disappointments?
Many, many, many heartbreaking disappointments. That's for sure. But we don't have to get into all that. I don't need to jump out my window right now.
The season's still like a couple months away. We'll wait for that, Evan.
Do you think that they're going to have... I think that they're going to figure out a way to have the season. They're going to have to get tested. Like, they're going to have everybody get tested like the day before or something.
Well, soccer league's coming this weekend. Germany.
Yeah, but that's in Germany. This is in America. I feel like there's going to be no fans, of course.
Well, I think once Major League Baseball and basketball start up in July, I feel like football will start off. I feel like the date won't change. It might not be fans, but the date won't change.
Yeah, there's not going to be fans. It's going to be weird.
College football's the one that's definitely in the air because they said they're not going to play unless students are back on campus.
Yeah, which may not happen. Yeah, it's crazy, man. I mean, did you see, like, I think it was like Joe Buck or someone was might have been Aiken, Troy, or it might have been Aikman. But one of these like NFL like analyst dudes said that they should like filter in like crowd noise into like the feeds so it feels like there's a crowd there. It sounds like there's a crowd there. Not like at the game, but like into the broadcasting feed. So like people watching at home, like they actually hear like somewhat of a crowd.
I think it would be kind of cool.
I think it would sound weird if it's just completely silent.
Full of players, I think it's weird. For the players, I think it's like a scrimmage,
yeah,
dude.
It's going to be weird for the players. They're going to be able, like, everyone's going to be able to hear what they're calling out.
Dude, like, the last time these players played with no fans, like, high school. Like,
there wouldn't be a home team advantage. You know what I mean? There wouldn't be a home field advantage, which is interesting. Because in football, home field advantage is legit.
Every sport, football, any sport.
Especially because the shit gets so loud when the other team's on offense. When the away team is on offense, everyone gets super loud, and that will fuck people up. Like some places it gets so loud that they have communication issues and they'll get a false start or stuff like that. So there's not going to be that element, which is interesting.
I definitely still think there's going to be college football because money. I think money.
Because it makes so much money for the colleges. Yeah, they're like, who cares if some people catch it and die? We need to make some money.
Right.
Like we don't make enough money charging people $100,000 to get a college education.
But it really also matters if it comes back this year, Evan. If there's a rebound, if it comes back worse in the fall.
You mean the virus?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, you never know, man. Never know what's gonna happen, dude.
Right.
This is strange times we're living in. This is a pandemic. It's a pandemic. But yeah, it's a little bonus sports episode for you there. Just because, like we said, it's a pandemic. We got nothing better to do. We'll do a few episodes, talk about sports. Me and Aral both like sports, even though we like very different sports. We both like basketball and football, right?
Yeah.
But I just don't really like baseball or soccer. Aral's into those sports.
Yeah.
I really like UFC. I don't think you're that into that.
UFC.
Yeah, we overlap at basketball and football, but other than that, but yeah, so we're gonna drop this episode kind of like just whenever. I think we're dropping it midweek
Or Saturday.
or maybe Saturday, and then we'll drop. So it'll be like right before the last few episodes of The Last Dance.
Get you riled up for it.
Yeah, get you all riled up for it.
Because I know, like, you guys can't be waiting. It's like you guys are counting down the days. Like,
yeah,
it's getting there.
It's popular.
People are talking like this just happened. Like the way like sports.
Yeah, I know. There's
Sports
all
stations
over the
are
sports
breaking
stations
down
and stuff because they have nothing else to do.
They're like, "Oh, this just happened. Can you hear about like the Pistons won't shake anybody's hand?" Like,
Yeah,
it's like,
are you
it
kidding me?
just
That happened
happened.
fucking 35 years ago, dude. But yeah, so so we're gonna drop this one just as a bonus episode. I think we're gonna drop it on Saturday, so then you'll get our other episode on Monday, just like normal, and that's gonna be our
Ancient Egypt.
remix of the Ancient Egypt episode because we had some audio issues. So we're just gonna kind of go over that again. So this is just a little bonus episode for you guys. But thank you guys for listening to the Mystery Bros.
Peace.
Peace out.
Mystery Bros. Mystery Bros.
Mystery Bros.
Mystery Bros.
Mystery Bros. Mystery Bros.
Mystery Bros. Mystery Bros.